because we're billing them from the time they leave the shop to whatever, but it's still not outrageously expensive. And so I think we're just making too many other people's problems our problems. And so I think that it would be best if we were able to incent them in a manner that did not require lost labor time in the administrative office and in the departments. And so I think that a ticket system would get us a lot closer to there. And then, if somebody's not paying attention to the tickets, then you can take them to court and say, Judge, we've warned them once, and I think I'll tell the officers, please warn them, don't immediately write the ticket, give them a chance, give them a heads up. And then we gave them warning, and then we wrote 5 tickets, they still haven't complied. So, we'd appreciate, giving the city the authority to, or letting us collect those costs, and then upholding those tickets, and then also assessing some costs for the property. But I think we still have the other method. It doesn't exclude us from going down that road, but it gives us a lot better option for those repeat offenders, because there's several folks in town that I think they do the calculus that I can't keep up with them that much, and so they figure, hey, if I only have to deal with Aaron, bothering me 3 times a year, then I'll deal with Aaron bothering me 3 times a year, and I'm not going to take care of the problem. And so, I think it'll just work out a lot better. I mean, we get pretty good compliance with winter parking through the parking tickets. We work on trying to get some of the other parking compliance. We've worked with Dean on that, and I think he's trying to focus on getting some of the off-street parking dealt with a little bit better. But I think it works, and so that's why I'd like to bring this to the council in the form of an ordinance. Eric's drafted a little bit of information already, but to essentially allow for the officers to ticket for ordinance violations for not removing snow in a prompt manner from the sidewalk, not mowing to keep grass within the, I think it's a 10-inch requirement, so definitely not keeping it. Yeah, I mean, that's the long rough for sure. And then also, the one thing after talking with Eric that I put in the notes, but it wasn't on the agenda, was the junk. Also for folks that just have junk strewn about in their yard, because a perfect example, there's a property with a piano out in front of it right now in the middle of winter. Clearly that's not incidentally there.
No one's playing it, you don't think they're not.
Nobody's playing it. So, in a situation like that, there's no way you can deny that that's not just junk sitting in front of your house. I mean, it's not a patio furniture. So, in cases like that, it would be easy to write it. There's, I think anyone could discern that that's junk. So,
Is it up to the officer to decide warnings and stuff then, or when to write a ticket, or how does this work?
I would think I would guess that you'd probably try and, like for instance with the winter parking ticket, we throw notices on all the cars for a week ahead of time, and try to give a warning that it's coming up. I think a lot of that's just the council's guidance to the police administrator, to be on what the council, how they want that handled. I mean, I know it's a hefty ticket, but I think the compliance is really bad.
All they have to do is either move the snow or mow the grass. It's such a simple deal. If you're gonna own property, I don't know why you don't take care of it.
Right.
I don't understand it.
On the writing, it is $50 a day,
Yeah.
but say they're in the hospital, and for a week or so, and they come back and they got $250 worth of tickets,
I guess they could come down and argue that, but then they should have had someone taking care of their property.
Yeah.
That's the point
There's
about
plenty
owning
of people
property.
doing snow removal that can be called. It's like when you go on vacation for 2 weeks and you don't get your sidewalk shoveled.
Yeah, yeah. Does that happen, does it, John? You can dig there, little dig there anyway.
That can happen.
Yeah.
So how do they serve the notice then, Aaron? Do they mail the tickets to the residents in violation, or how does that?
Honestly, I think it's probably going to be a situation where you affix it to the door in some manner. I would leave that to the attorney to decide they
What
believe
method
is
we use on
the
that?
best way to post notice of it. You know, you're always gonna have the ticket blew away argument, but, we get that on parking tickets, and we
Sure.
don't have problems getting those, taken care of
I
also.
suppose the letter bomb's out of the question.
Was is this gonna apply to commercial as well as residential then? As far as junk or snow removal or?
The junk you couldn't use it for, because the commercial requirements for property maintenance are different than, the snow removal, you could still write it for that, because it's still the same code section, it's 12 hours versus 24 hours. And the mowing, I think it'd be hard pressed to try and enforce mowing. I think with business.
Well, I guess my concern is the property on Main Street that has issues every now and again with weeds growing up through the cracks of the old 66 station. Who gets the ticket? Is it the renter or is it the property owner? Pardon me?
The owner would get, the
Yeah.
renter would get the ticket, but it would go back down the owner when they didn't pay it anyway, so. That's the only people we can go after is the owner.
And so in the end, you're still using the same provisions to deal with it. It's just some updating of the code that specifically calls out this process. But in the end, you know, you still take them to court to get enforcement and court costs. You could still use the assessment following assessing it back on the property. I mean, there's still several ways to address it. It's just giving it, the biggest thing is just calling out this form of notice.
That's another tool.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking for, is another tool to see if we can get things done, so. Hopefully we can cut the time down, that's all we're trying to do, is just shave the time down on
Sure.
days and weeks to.
Well, it's almost comical. I mean, at the point that we have a property that's identified that, you know, is in, you know, oh my, you know, they haven't taken care of something in 2 weeks, then I have to wait another 3 days, and at that point, you know, if it's a mowing situation, maybe they mowed it because they did their once every 3-week mow that they do. Or if it's a sidewalk, that's really hard because, I mean, the snow comes through, you know, once every week or so. And so it's hard to say, hey, you know, you need to take care of that, because, well, it just snowed yesterday. Well, you didn't take care of it 2 weeks ago when it snowed out there. So that's, you know, it's just making it a little bit more functional.
So I guess what do
I'd
we
make
need?
the motion that we move ahead with that.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to move ahead on the snow removal ticket. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That direction.
We'll bring that back to you at the next meeting in the form of an ordinance.
Next, we need a motion to approve the renewal of a Class C liquor license and outdoor service catering privilege and Sunday sales privilege for the family table of Humboldt LTD doing business as Miller's Landing. Everything in order, Gloria?
Yes, it is.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we need a motion to approve a new 5-day Class C liquor license for the City of Livermore Fire Department effective March 22nd through 26, 2014.
This is for a function they're having at the fairgrounds.
Everything in order? Everything in order?
Oh, yes, it is.
Move approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we need a motion to approve the renewal of a Class C liquor license and outdoor service and Sunday sales privilege for Gary P. Stottleman doing business as Frank's Naughty Pie. Is that good, Gloria?
Yep.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next up for discussion is Knights Boulevard.
We've discussed this probably, I discussed it last week, and then we discussed it, I think, you know how long ago that was when you turned the offer? Year ago?
March of
Okay.
2013.
So in March, we had discussed this. This land is the Knights Boulevard, that was platted out and never, had anything occur with it other than putting utilities through it and whatnot. I guess for reference, it's, Witzel's, it looks like Witzel's, Leroy Witzel's driveway.
Around here?
The owners, Nedveds and DeWinners and Witzel and everybody kind of in that area likes the idea of
Beckers.
Beckers of purchasing that land to ensure that there's never a street put through there. With that in mind, we'd still have a lot of utilities, ours and telecommunications and whatnot.
This one here was right here.
Thanks.
There we go.
I know.
Right there.
Well,
It's like the big one somewhere in there.
Here's part of our packet.
So, lost my train of thought. Anyway, there'd be a full width utility easement going through the area, so it would have absolutely no effect on the city's ability to address infrastructure in the area. If the owners have anything over the top of it, we still have every right to remove whatever's over the top of it and do the utility work. So, from the city's standpoint, we're not really losing anything outside of the fact that we can't put a street through that. And I don't know.
Wetzel's would never, ever sell that, and that would become house property or anything and stuff, is that, or not, Ben, do we know?
So, that's a great question. I mean, I think that,
Wetzel's?
Yeah.
You know, 'cause they've got 3 lots, actually, they got 4 lots along here that, you know, they own now, but it
Could
could.
potentially
Yeah.
develop, yeah.
I think your topography behind, actually behind your place, it drops off quite a bit back through there.
So
Yeah.
that thing comes there, but it still puddles up back in there even after the work, and the ratio will still flood and
Yeah.
above those intakes.
So, with that in mind, I mean,
This lot would be access.
it would be,
from
yeah,
this road,
you'd
so
still
we could
have,
double-
if Witzel decided to, you'd still have the access from future, the ending the horseshoe on Eagle Ridge Drive. You could access from that side. I don't know how much value these lots back here have, just because of the draw in the area, so, as it is platted. I don't know if anyone would put a house there.
No. But you've come up with a price or you figured it's.
Yeah,
House vote.
I had the price, I figured it up off of the previous sales that the city's had of full width utility easement land. For instance, for Dolphin, and then I believe it was Thompson was the other folks. That was the land just north of Highway 3, next to 10th Street. And so both of those carried full width utility easements, and the land was about, I think it was 82.5 by 165, was the right of way there. And both of those sold for about 2,500, or sold for 2,500. So based off of that, came down to a price per square foot, roughly 18, 19 cents an acre, or at cents a foot. And then took that and used what INS gave as square footage to come up with a figure of approximately $9,000. The original offer is for $5,000, and so it's up to the council to decide, you know, what they feel is appropriate for this land.
5,000 was for the whole thing, or
Yeah.
5,000 for their share?
The whole thing was 5,000.
I guess if we got 2,500 for the other ones, and we set a precedence, I hate to take 5,000 for this one, and if that's kind of how we figured it anyway.
Then how do you explain it to everybody else that already paid it? So,
How many lots are there?
Well, if you bordered both sides, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, there's 11 lots that actually border that.
But I don't know how soon they'd ever be used.
No, and they may not be.
I think we have to consider that first of all. If, you know, if it makes sense to cut and run or what, you know.
Yeah, I don't have no problem if we want to sell the property. If we're never going to use it, you know, then we just will,
I see that map.
just will let them use it. But I think if we're gonna base it off of how we do, and that was a fairly recent sale, was the one anyway that we did, that I think we need to
Yeah, both were
follow the same pattern anyway.
The other lots that we sold, did you use this formula here, as far as the 19 cents per square foot cost?
Honestly,
I mean, do you remember if you used some formula
No,
to calculate that?
honestly, the first one was 2,500, and, I mean, it was land that was being treated as their property anyway, kind of similar to the situation where, you know, people mow it and they're, you know, they get frustrated with the fact that I'm treating that as my yard, why don't I just have that be my yard? And so,
So these are old.
with that in mind,
owned
that
now?
it kind of came out of just more of
And
setting a
Roy owns
precedence
these?
with
Yeah,
the
owns
for
all
sale.
those.
He owns all those on this side.
And he's in favor of this, I believe, isn't he?
Yeah, he wants to.
He wants to.
He wants to purchase them, or purchase this already.
Just so they know they can't build
So
on
we'll
it.
set a we'll start the public hearing. Is that what we do?
Yeah. No, this is just.
Well, I'm not
getting
against, I'm not against selling
getting
property
the
by any means, but I think
process
we should try
started.
to set it, keep it the same that we've done for
That's what I
everybody
was
else.
wondering too. I would
And
hope
there's-
that the previous
Yeah.
property owners wouldn't be upset, if, you know.
But I'm not against,
Well,
the sale of it.
Yeah.
That's over an acre.
So the process is fairly long. I mean, obviously, we gotta go through vacation and public notice and dispose of the property, so, you know, you're gonna see this several times. It's more along the lines of whether the property owners are willing to pay 9,000 and whether the council wants to sell it for 9,000. Because I don't wanna set up all the public hearings and whatnot and
Right.
find out that the two don't match up. So, I guess with that in mind, if the council wants to keep it at 9, then we'll have to go back to the property owners and see if they, you know, if that's what they want, so that, you know, as we move through this process, we're not scheduling a public hearing and disposing of property that you guys aren't really willing to buy. That's a waste of
Everybody's time.
notice and everybody's time. So,
But moving forward, I would think that we would need to kind of establish kind of a formula in order to.
yeah,
you know,
I mean,
I mean, don't you think so?
yeah, I think
Because that
the,
was Joel's point, that maybe the other previous people would be upset that. you
no,
know,
in the 19 cents is, I mean, we can use that from here on out.
I'm just
And-
throwing it out.
And that's pretty cheap.
And I, you know. So,
Okay. So I guess the next step would be for, decide if you guys, I guess, wanna pay $9,000 before we go any farther, I guess, wouldn't it? No use for us to start vacating unless there's an
Yeah.
offer of 9,000.
And I can
comes
work
to
with
us
them and
anyway,
then
so-
bring it back.
Is that fair then, Ben?
That's fair, yeah, and I think everyone, you know, all we want it for is just the
Right.
green space.
Right.
We've been mowing anyways. we don't
Yeah,
need to-
right.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's why I was here to see what
Yep.
the council was proposing to counter, and we'll take that back and bring it back up. So
Okay.
that's the number that I'll discuss with the neighbors, and